Veterans Voices on KX News.
Military service is all about getting into a warrior state of mind. Some North Dakotans are just born with it, and School Resource Officer Jesse Hellman is no exception. Spending nearly a quarter of his life in the armed forces, KX News' Paige Gilmar tells us about Hellman's tragedies and triumphs while serving.
Jesse Hellman's life was carved by service and sacrifice. A police officer to some, a hero to many, Hellman is one of North Dakota's native-born soldiers.
I wouldn't change any of my time in the service for anything. I wouldn't, if I could go back and redo something, I don't think I would change a thing.
Born in Dickinson in 1966, Hellman never grew up under a military influence, beyond his liking for a couple of John Wayne's war movies. But at an early age, he knew that a life of service was the life for him.
It's kind of odd that that's what I wanted to do.
Graduating high school in 1984 at just 17 years old, it wasn't more than a couple months before Hellman found himself in basic training to join the Army. And that's where he found purpose and friendship.
You're eating dirt together, you're eating sand together. The drill sergeants are ruthless. They're breaking you down so that they can build you back up, and your mom and dad ain't there that you can't cry on their shoulder saying these people are being mean to me. You make bonds with the guys that are going through the same things you're going through, and that bond you can never break.
Hellman became a fort artillery observer, which is essentially a frontline scout. With his radio as his weapon, he had the ability to call in artillery strikes, naval gunfire, and more. Hellman was sent to Germany first and then Fort Hood, Texas a couple years later, but not without being touched by a bit of military and celebrity history. It turned out that when Hellman was stationed in Germany, he served in the same unit as Elvis Presley, the 3rd Armored Division.
In our barracks, they had a glass-encased Elvis Presley's uniform.
When Hellman was stationed in Texas, he served with the 2nd Armored Division, or Hell on Wheels, General Patton's favorite unit during the Second World War. But his time in the Army was numbered, and after 4 years, at the age of 21, he was ready for a change, joining the National Guard in 1988. He started off as an engineer and then served in the Guard's helicopter unit. But by 1992, Hellman's life started getting busy. He was getting married and gearing up to raise a family. So for 7 years, Hellman took a break, focusing on his personal life, but couldn't stay away, rejoining the National Guard in 1999. But now with a wife and family, Hellman says dedicating himself to military service wasn't without sacrifice.
I think it is tougher on the families that are left behind than it is on the soldiers that get deployed, because when we're deployed, we only have to worry about ourselves and our other soldiers that we're with, but we don't have to worry about the household and kids getting them to school and kids that are sick, and so that's a downfall.
Hellman sometimes had to miss out on a parent's most treasured moments, like birthdays and Christmases.
Sometimes it hurts me a little bit to think, hey, I miss this and I miss that. So those are things that that are tough.
But even so, Hellman says his time away from home made his marriage and family life stronger.
Anybody who can tell you once you get married, I mean, you're going to have disagreements and arguments. Since I've been back, you don't argue about the little things anymore because we went through the big things.
Hellman was promoted to first sergeant of the 191 Military Police in Fargo. And then he lived his dream, working as a police officer during the week and a soldier on the weekend. But his life as a soldier would eventually come to an end in 2015, but not without regret.
I was sad when I retired because I felt like I was leaving them guys.
Hellman now works as a school resource officer for Horizon Middle School in Bismarck, but he says he couldn't have lived such a fulfilled life without his military service.
I owe a lot to the military, and I'd said that before. My career, my wife, my kids, I owe it all.
And now, coming up on 10 years as a veteran, Hellman can't help but reflect on the value of service.
When people find out that I'm a veteran, or when I was still wearing the uniform, if I walked into restaurant in uniform or a gas station to get a soda, and somebody would say, "Here, I'm buying that." I've had meals paid for, sodas, shake your hand, thank you for serving our country. That, you walk away and you're almost brings you to tears. Just say it almost brings me to tears now thinking about it. That's the value.
For KX News, I'm Paige Gilmar.
Hellman is one of 8 school resource officers in Bismarck. He says he'll continue to serve North Dakota as a police officer for as long as he can.